the people who are losing out of this, the winners and the losers, by focusing on the losers, are consumers and small businesses in particular. And what we're also seeing is, for a lot of small businesses, complete bewilderment about what they should be doing. So this creates quite a complicated environment to operate in. We're releasing a pulse survey, which is really of global business at the moment, and what it shows is that the level of uncertainty is extremely high level. It's actually higher in countries in particular where they sense governments are seeking to retaliate. There is a very clear message to governments from the business communities where there is that contemplation on foot, do not retaliate, because they see that as actually increasing the volatility and increasing the potential challenges they see. For small businesses, the hard thing for them is actually to work out what the rules of the road are. For many of them, as they seek to sort of trade across borders, and of course that's an important part.
So Donald Trump is trying to reshape global trade in a way that's more protectionist in some sense rather than free trade. So how does the ICC view that?
I might just pick you up on that. I wouldn't describe the US is actually on its own capable of doing that, because ultimately the US, and this is something that's important for your viewers to understand as well, the US only accounts for 13% of global trade. The 87% remaining want to continue to function under the existing multilateral trading system. And yes, it is possible for that to be further interrupted by the actions of the US administration, but ultimately the US administration on its own cannot deliver a global trade war. That would require lots of other economies to enter into retaliatory measures, and we're not seeing that, and we are arguing against that for the very reason that I articulated before, that there's an important element here. Businesses want the certainty of a functioning multilateral system, and 87% of the rest of the world wants to maintain and revitalize that system. That's what we're urging. What's also important is that a lot, and I'm talking about a lot of US businesses want that as well. US businesses do not only operate in the US economy, they operate globally, they operate regionally, they operate bilaterally. They want the economies in which they're also operating to be successful. They do not want to see those economies go on a downward spiral. So it's in the interest of global business to continue to work to maintain the system. As I said, the US on its own cannot upend that system. It can certainly pose challenges to it, but those challenges, if they're able to snowball into a global trade war, would completely make a mess of things and cause untold damage. And that's what we're trying to avoid.
Do you see like what's being done here in the UAE is an exemplary model on some other nations to follow suit?
But the UAE showed how important the multilateral system is for not just the UAE, but for the Gulf states and ultimately for the region. I mean, let's face it, the region is going through an extraordinary economic evolution. It wants to maintain and it wants to continue growth through being able to trade across borders, not just within the region, but between other regions as well. The UAE, as you know, is incredibly well placed to be a bridge, linking up Africa with Europe, with Asia, and the way in which the UAE has gone about engaging with those various economic entities in order to create economically viable trading arrangements is something to be applauded. And also the point here is they're all WTO compliant. So underpinning the development of the UAE's trade policy is actually in alignment with the underpinning multilateral system, which we want to upgrade. And one thing that we do want, and I think the UAE wants to show leadership in as well, is to ensure that aspects like the digital economy are properly integrated now into the multilateral trading system. And doing that through the regional arrangements that the UAE is entering into is incredibly important as well.